Archaeologists never stop digging, literally and figuratively, pulling eerie secrets from the dirt faster than ever, thanks to tech that lets us peek into the past like never before. Like really. Ancient civilizations, long-extinct species, and forgotten horrors are resurfacing, revealing a past that wasn't always kind, or even remotely normal. Beneath layers of earth and time, we find traces of lives once lived, personal belongings, crumbling homes, and skeletal remains whispering unsettling truths. And let's be real, history isn't just about dusty artifacts and broken pottery. Some discoveries are gruesome, twisted, and straight-up nightmare fuel. If you think the past was all grandeur and glory, well, buckle up, because these 15 creepy finds say otherwise. Let's start off with number 15, mass grave of shackled young men. In 2016, archaeologists uncovered a chilling sight in Greece's Phaleron Delta necropolis. 80 skeletons, many still shackled, their jaws gaping open as if frozen mid-scream. So, what was it? A mass execution? A brutal sacrifice? Well, we don't know, but theories swirl, and just one stands out. These were the doomed followers of Cylon, an Athenian noble who botched a coup in 632 BC. While Cylon managed to escape, his supporters weren't so lucky. Historical records confirmed that they were rounded up and executed, but until now, their bodies had never been found. The skeletons tell a brutal story. Many had fatal blows to the backs of their heads, meaning they were likely executed one by one. But despite their gruesome deaths, they weren't tossed into a mass pit like garbage. Their remains were neatly arranged, suggesting that even in death, someone acknowledged their sacrifice. It's a haunting reminder that history isn't just written in books, it's carved into bones, buried beneath our feet, waiting to tell its final tragic tale. Number 14, Germany's 10-million-year-old teeth. When archaeologists unearthed 2 teeth in Eppelsheim, Germany in 2016, they had no idea they were about to ignite a scientific firestorm. The teeth looked eerily similar to those of Lucy, the famous Australopithecus afarensis fossil. Now, here is just one tiny problem. Lucy lived 4 million years ago. These teeth were 9.7 million years old. The discovery had experts questioning everything. Did early human ancestors roam Europe before Africa? Could these teeth belong to an entirely new species? Theories ranged from an undiscovered hominid lineage to an ancient primate species completely unrelated to humans. While some media outlets sensationalized the find as proof humanity evolved in Europe, National Geographic quickly threw cold water on the hype, warning against rewriting history just yet. What we do know? These teeth don't belong where they were found, and they don't fit neatly into any existing timeline. One thing's for sure, our past is way more mysterious than we thought. Number 13, slaughter pit at Sacred Ridge. Imagine unearthing an ancient village expecting pottery and relics, only to stumble upon a massacre frozen in time. That's exactly what archaeologists found at Sacred Ridge, Colorado. Beneath the remains of 22 pit houses, they uncovered crushed skulls, severed limbs, and shattered bones scattered like debris. The victims? A small community of 35 people, men, women, and children, all brutally dismembered and burned. Who did this, and why? Well, the leading theory points to a violent clash between neighboring tribes, possibly over resources or power. Another, more chilling possibility, the villagers were accused of witchcraft. In some Native American beliefs, destroying a body completely could prevent evil spirits from returning. The most disturbing detail? Their feet were purposefully crushed, ensuring they couldn't escape before the slaughter. Whether an act of revenge, purification, or sheer brutality, Sacred Ridge stands as one of the most horrifying mass executions in North American history. We mean, who can do that? Number 12. Australia's Murder Island. As if Australia wasn't already home to enough nightmares, it also has Murder Island, a creepy, desolate stretch of land where one of history's bloodiest shipwreck survival stories played out. The year was 1629. The Batavia, a Dutch ship bound for Indonesia, wrecked on Beacon Island, stranding hundreds of survivors. But drowning wasn't the worst fate. The real terror began after they reached shore. A faction of mutineers, led by a psychopathic sailor, turned the island into a slaughterhouse, massacring 125 people in a spree of torture, sexual violence, and bloodshed. Those who resisted were methodically hunted down, their bodies discarded like trash. Almost 400 years later, archaeologists still dig up the bones of those who met their brutal end here. Some show signs of desperate attempts to flee. Others, evidence of merciless execution. It's proof that sometimes the worst monsters aren't mythical creatures, they're human. Number 11. The Montezuma attack. For nearly a century, historians puzzled over the sudden disappearance of the Sinagua people from Montezuma Castle, Arizona. The grand cliffside settlement, built nearly 900 years ago, was mysteriously abandoned. Some thought it was a ritual departure. Others believed it was something far more sinister. Recent evidence confirms what local Hopi and Apache traditions have long said. They were attacked. Theories of an orderly departure crumbled when archaeologists revisited 4 bodies discovered in the 1930s. What they found was chilling. 3 had fractured skulls, all bore cut marks, and the bones were scorched. This wasn't a peaceful exit. It was a massacre. Between 1375 and 1395, tensions boiled over, possibly between rival tribes or even among the Sinagua themselves. Pottery production continued right until the end, meaning people lived there until the very last moment. What triggered the final violent clash remains unknown, but one thing is clear: Montezuma Castle was abandoned in blood and fire. Number 10. The Alaskan children in the hearth. Around 11,500 years ago, deep in the icy heart of Alaska, a 3-year-old child was cremated in a ritual and laid to rest in a hearth. When archaeologists uncovered the remains in 2010, they weren't just piecing together a burial, they were unlocking a lost chapter of human history. Nearby, they also found the remains of 2 infants, later named Zak Iti Anen Tiidagai and Yokanen Tiidagai. Their mitochondrial DNA revealed an incredible twist. They had different mothers but were genetically linked to modern Native Americans. But here's where things get even stranger. Zak Iti Anen Tiidagai's genome revealed a completely unknown ancient group, the ancient Beringians. These people split from our Native American ancestors 20,000 years ago, occupying a mysterious and unique place in our genetic lineage. Their discovery doesn't just rewrite history, it fills in a critical missing link about the first people to walk the Americas, showing us a world that existed long before written records. Number 9. The first case of hepatitis B. Science has a funny way of rewriting the past, and this time, it was a 450-year-old child's mummy in Naples, Italy, that forced us to rethink what we thought we knew. For decades, researchers assumed this child had suffered from smallpox, one of history's deadliest diseases. But when scientists applied advanced DNA sequencing, they got a shock. This wasn't smallpox. It was hepatitis B, making it the oldest known case of the virus ever recorded. The discovery was groundbreaking, proving that humans have been battling HBV for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. Even more unsettling? The child's facial rash, once thought to be a hallmark of smallpox, was actually caused by hepatitis B. This realization changes the way we look at historical diseases. How many other cases have we misdiagnosed? It also serves as a stark reminder of what archaeologists risk when uncovering ancient, still dangerous viruses buried with the dead. Number 8. Human petrifaction. Girolamo Sagato was obsessed with defying death, but instead of becoming immortal, he perfected something just as disturbing, turning human bodies to stone. In the 1820s, after studying Egyptian mummies, this Italian anatomist developed a mystifying petrifaction process, a technique that mineralized human remains while preserving their color, texture, and elasticity. His results were so convincing that his specimens looked like flesh turned to marble, a real-life Medusa's curse. But his methods? Lost forever. Sagato never documented how he did it, and to make matters worse, his source of bodies wasn't exactly legal. He was a grave robber, secretly digging up corpses for his experiments. His work, eerie yet fascinating, still exists today in Florence, including a table made entirely from petrified human organs. On his own tombstone, an inscription reads, "Here lies decayed Girolamo Sagato, who could have been totally petrified if his art had not died with him." Number 7. The underground labyrinth of death. Beneath the 3,000-year-old ruins of Chavin de Huantar, Peru, archaeologists discovered something out of a horror movie. A dark, winding labyrinth filled with bodies. Using tiny remote-controlled robots, they explored 36 underground passages, where they found 3 still intact skeletons, believed to be victims of terrifying sacrificial rituals. But this wasn't just any sacrifice. This was a sensory overload of drugs, light manipulation, and sound designed to break minds before death. The new temple, discovered nearby, is thought to have been the site of these eerie ceremonies. The victims, buried face down in the rock, were of low social status, stripped of honor even in death. Unlike elite burials, their bodies were wrapped in simple cotton and buried in shallow pits. But their surroundings told another story. Pottery, textiles, and even metal artifacts were found near them, hinting at an unsettling blend of reverence and cruelty deep within this underground maze of death. Number 6. The Lapedo child. In 1998, deep in Portugal's Lapedo Valley, archaeologists unearthed a skeleton that should have never existed. Dubbed the Lapedo child, this small 28,000-year-old body had a modern human's chin but short, stocky Neanderthal legs, a bizarre combination that suggested something unthinkable at the time. Humans and Neanderthals interbred. When this theory first emerged, it was dismissed as nonsense. But then, genetic studies confirmed what archaeologists had suspected. Neanderthals and Homo sapiens did produce offspring, and traces of Neanderthal DNA still exist in humans today. The problem? Dating the Lapedo child was nearly impossible. Roots had grown through the bones, contaminating traditional carbon dating methods. But thanks to new protein-based dating technology, researchers finally determined the child lived 28,000 years ago, bridging the gap between two worlds, one fading, one rising. In a way, unlocking this mystery gave the Lapedo child a voice in history once more. Number 5. 29,000-year-old child skeleton. Deep within Tam Dinh Cave in Thailand's Khao Sam Roy Yacht National Park, archaeologists unearthed a discovery that rewrites history, the oldest known human skeleton in the country. Buried beneath 6 feet of earth, the remains belong to a child, just 6 to 8 years old, given the nickname Pang Pond, after a beloved Thai cartoon character. But this wasn't just a simple burial. Pang Pond was laid in a supine position, their body covered in stones and red earth, symbols of power and blood in ancient rituals. Even more intriguing, the child's toes were touching, suggesting they had been wrapped or bound in a ceremonial farewell. Radiocarbon dating of surrounding charcoal and shells placed the burial at 29,000 years old, making it a pivotal find in understanding early human migration and ritual practices in Southeast Asia. Adding to the mystery, prehistoric red ochre paintings, depicting humans, animals, and strange, abstract symbols, adorn the cave's walls, hinting at the forgotten traditions of a people long lost to time. Number 4. Bellaghy bog body likely female. In 2023, peat harvesters in Northern Ireland uncovered something eerie, a bog body so well preserved that experts initially assumed it belonged to a teenage boy. But recent analysis proved otherwise. This was no boy. This was a young woman, aged 17 to 22, now known as the Ballymacomb's Moor Woman. And her fate? Far from natural. Her throat was slit. Cut marks on her neck suggest a brutal decapitation, and her body was discarded in the bog sometime between the 4th and 1st century BC. The most unsettling part? She may have been a human sacrifice, a common practice across Iron Age Northern Europe, where individuals were offered to the gods, possibly in exchange for fertility, good harvests, or military victories. The fact that she was female makes her incredibly rare, as most bog bodies from this period are male. Her existence provides a rare, haunting glimpse into a dark and mysterious ancient ritual. Number 3. Neolithic genocide in Austria. More than 7,000 years ago, a Neolithic village in Austria became the site of an unthinkable horror, a systematic slaughter that wiped out an entire community. In 2015, archaeologists uncovered a mass grave near Aspern-Schletz containing the skeletal remains of 67 people. But this wasn't just death. This was terror. Many victims had fatal blows to the back of their heads, suggesting they were executed while trying to escape. Others were shot down with arrows, their bones still holding embedded points. 27 of the dead were children. And the most chilling detail? Their legs were crushed. It appears their attackers broke their bones to prevent them from running before killing them. Why did this happen? The women of the tribe were missing, leading archaeologists to believe they were taken as slaves after being forced to witness the slaughter of their families. It's one of the earliest, most gruesome acts of mass violence in human history. Proof that even in prehistoric times, war left no survivors. Number 2. The oldest shark attack victim. Imagine stepping into the ocean, expecting a refreshing swim or a routine fishing trip, and never making it back to shore. Over 3,000 years ago, that's exactly what happened to one unfortunate man in Japan, whose skeleton now bears the oldest known proof of a shark attack. Discovered in 2019 at the Tsukumo site near Japan's Saito Inland Sea, the man's remains were covered in 790 deep, jagged wounds. His arms, legs, chest, and abdomen were shredded, and it was clear from the defensive injuries that he fought desperately before succumbing. Scientists ruled out human conflict or scavenging animals. This was a full-on shark assault. And the culprit? Likely a great white or a tiger shark, two of the ocean's deadliest predators. The wounds suggest that the shark's initial attack didn't kill him instantly. He struggled, but the predator kept coming back, delivering multiple bites until there was nothing left to fight with. What a sad ending. Number 1. Massive skull pile at the bottom of a lake. Archaeologists investigating the dried remains of an ancient lake near Teotihuacan stumbled upon a mass grave unlike any other. A pile of 150 human skulls, eerily arranged in what was once a watery abyss. This wasn't a battlefield, nor was it a burial site. The positioning and lack of other bones suggest that the skulls had been intentionally placed there, evidence of what could be the largest human sacrifice ever discovered in the region. Dating back 1,100 years, these victims were likely offered to the gods in an attempt to secure divine favor, possibly for rainfall, fertility, or victory in war. Unlike other Mesoamerican sacrifices, where remains were often found atop pyramids, these skulls were hidden beneath a lake, out of sight, yet permanently preserved. Out of respect for modern indigenous communities, no photos have been released, but the chilling discovery proves that the people of Teotihuacan took their offerings very seriously. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.